I work the night shift, and I think that's what made it so easy to miss. When you're awake at 3 a.m. by choice, by routine, the dark stops feeling like a warning. It just feels like Tuesday. I'd been doing this for 2 years. Customer support for a software company, headphones in, chai going cold on my desk, the city outside my window folded into itself and quiet. My name is Ryan. I'm 29. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Gulberg, Lahore, 6th floor, building with a guard at the gate and neighbors on every side and an elevator that works most of the time. I want you to understand how normal everything was. I want you to understand that before I start telling you what wasn't. It started with a smell. I came out of my bedroom one afternoon. I sleep days, it's just how my schedule runs, and somewhere in the hallway between my room and the kitchen, I walked through something that stopped me mid-step. Sweet and wrong. The specific sweetness of something organic that has crossed from ripe into rotten. I stood in the hallway and breathed through my nose and did what every person does in that situation. I tried to find it. The brain has this animal instinct that predates every rational thought we're proud of, and it kicked in hard. Find the source. The smell was coming from the storage room at the end of the hall, a small room I barely used, some boxes in there, an old suitcase, things I'd been meaning to sort for 6 months. I opened the door, I looked. Nothing was out of place. And then, within maybe a minute of me standing there, the smell simply faded. Not drifted out through the open door, faded like it had decided to leave. I stood in that room for a while, turning slowly, looking at corners, finding nothing. I told myself something had died in the walls. Buildings have rodents. Rodents die. I closed the door and made chai and started my shift and didn't think about it again. That was my first mistake, not the last. 4 nights later, I was working, 2 in the morning, 1 earbud in, 1 out, the way I always sit, so I can hear the apartment while I work, and I realized the sound I was hearing through my uncovered ear was not the city outside. It was coming from inside, from the hallway, from the direction of the storage room. A low, rhythmic drag, like something being pulled across a floor and then pulled back, slow and patient and repeating. I sat and listened to it for longer than I should have before I stood up and walked toward it. The moment my hand touched the storage room handle, the sound stopped, not gradually, immediately, like a switch. I opened the door, turned the light on, found nothing disturbed, nothing moved, nothing wrong. I went back to my desk, I put both earbuds in, I turned my music up and worked until sunrise, and when I went to bed, I locked my bedroom door for the first time since I'd moved in. I kept locking it after that, every night. Things kept happening in small ways, which I now understand was deliberate. A glass I'd left in the dish rack appearing on the coffee table, the light in the storage room turning off when I was certain I'd left it on. My phone charger moved from one side of my nightstand to the other, each thing small enough to explain away. Sleep deprivation, distracted memory, a mind that runs on 4 hours and caffeine and fills the gaps with false certainty. I am a rational person. I told myself rational things. I was very committed to being the kind of person who doesn't scare easily, who finds the logical explanation, who doesn't let his imagination run into dark rooms ahead of him. I held on to that identity like it was something that could protect me. Then I mopped the kitchen floor on a Sunday and woke up Monday to find footprints on it. Bare feet, smaller than mine, tracking from the kitchen window across to the doorway where I was standing, then turning and going back to the window, clear and distinct, the way wet prints are on a dry floor. I stood in the doorway and looked at them and felt the specific sensation of your mind finally letting a conclusion arrive that it has been blocking for weeks. Someone had been in my kitchen, had walked to my doorway to within 2 meters of where I slept and turned around and gone back while I was asleep, while my bedroom door was locked and I believed I was safe. I called the building manager. A maintenance man came and checked every window, every latch, the front door lock, all secure, no sign of entry. He suggested I might have walked to the kitchen in my sleep and not remembered. I pointed at the footprints and pointed at my feet, which were visibly larger. He had no answer for that. He suggested I change my locks. I ordered a new deadbolt that evening and had it installed within 2 days, and slept that night feeling, for the first time in weeks, something close to safe. I woke up at 3 a.m. to someone saying my name. Once, clearly, from the hallway. A voice I didn't recognize, low and unused sounding, like a voice that hadn't spoken in a long time and had forgotten the correct amount of effort required. It said my name, and then it said nothing else. I lay in my bed with the new deadbolt on my door and my phone in my hand, and I did not call anyone, because calling someone meant someone would come and find nothing, and I was not prepared for what that would mean. I lay there until daylight. Then I unlocked my door and opened it. The storage room door was open. I always kept it closed. It was open, and through the doorway I could see that things inside had been rearranged. My boxes stacked more neatly than I'd ever had them, the old suitcase moved to one side. And on the floor of the storage room, in the dust that had accumulated over months of me not going in there was the outline of a person. The shape left when something lies in one place long enough to compress the dust beneath it. Curled on their side, knees drawn up, the size and shape of a sleeping adult. Someone had been sleeping on my floor, feet from where I slept, night after night, in the dark, while I locked my door and told myself I was safe. The police came, checked everything. New deadbolt untampered, all windows latched from the inside, no explanation for entry. They took a photograph of the dust impression and told me older buildings sometimes had unmapped access points, maintenance hatches, gaps between floors. They said they'd follow up. I packed a bag while they were still writing their report. I've been staying at my parents' house for a week. My old bedroom, childhood posters still on the wall, my mother cooking in the kitchen down the hall. I haven't told them the full story. I said I needed a break. They accepted this because I looked like someone who needed a break. I could see it in the way my mother looked at my face when she opened the door. I've been sleeping. Real sleep, the kind where you're not listening. Tonight, my mother asked me to get something from the storage room off the back passage, a box from the second shelf. I went. The bulb was low wattage, and the back of the room was in shadow, and I found the box quickly and turned to leave and didn't look at the corners. That was a choice I made consciously. I brought her the box. We had chai. She went to bed. I'm writing this at the kitchen table because writing is the only way I know to make something real and survivable at the same time. It's past 2 in the morning and the house is quiet and every light in the kitchen is on, and I've been writing for about an hour. I need to tell you the last part. 11 minutes ago, I know because I looked at my phone, I heard the back passage storage room door open. The specific sound of it, the slight resistance then give of that particular door, which I registered on my way in and out earlier and filed away without meaning to. It opened and it did not close. My mother did not get up. I would have heard her. I hear everything in this house tonight. The sound that started maybe 5 minutes after that, low, rhythmic, patient, I know what it is. I've heard it before. I know exactly what it is. I'm sitting at the kitchen table and I'm not going to the back passage and I'm not going to call out because I already know that if I call out, something will answer and I'm not ready for that. I am going to sit here until morning. That's the plan. Sit here, lights on, wait for sunrise, then get up and walk out the front door and never come back to any building with a storage room again for as long as I live. That's the plan. The sound from the back passage stopped about 2 minutes ago. I noticed it stop the way you notice a sound stopping when you've been listening to it so long that it became a kind of company. The silence it left is worse. I'm staring at this screen and I'm not going to look up and I'm not going to turn around because a few seconds ago, in the reflection of the dark kitchen window in front of me, I saw the kitchen doorway behind me and I saw that I am not alone in this kitchen anymore.